Hello and welcome everyone back to the Forgotten City. Last time was very eventful. We figured out a way to help Yulia. We figured out a way to help Rufy. No, it was not. Roof. Is that Rufius? No. The guy on top jumped. And we also jumped. And lots of things happening. We actually found a way to stop the assassins as well, which was a big deal. So now I want to talk to Equitia and see if where is she again? And see if we can have that conversation in the bathhouse. So democracy in action. And close doors. Tilla. There we go. I kind of a quest. Where's she? Oh, there she is.
Ave. A new face. Ave. And may...
I've been asking people about how they would round up here.
Interesting. I'm not sure why you're telling me, but you've come to the right person. Did you find a pattern then? What have you noticed?
Some people mentioned a coin.
Yes, I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we? What else? Yes, I understand. What else?
Marine
That's true.
lapses?
It's...
Did a young woman.
And did you happen... I see. Because I've seen her... But don't follow too closely.
Okay. We'll follow her. I mean, unfortunately...
May Apollo keep you safe.
I want to see if she can tell
Feeling
us
all
something
right?
to help Rufius. Or
That's a
not.
shame.
I don't think it makes sense to talk to Yulia much more. Since she probably just will be upset that we that we couldn't help a friend, so okay, first time here. This is how I got here in the first place. I'm looking if there's anything else. Eeh.
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood.
Yeah.
Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp.
Thank you.
But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Karen. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Charon, who in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living
Okay, the
from
plot
land of the
thickens.
dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this means.
Yep, this is the underworld.
I'm afraid so. It's all
So I was
starting
right
to
with
make
my
sense.
assumption that this is some
All
kind
these
of
people
purgatory.
whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions.
So I also wondered
I'll
last
try to
time when we
answer them
saw the
if I
golden
can.
statue pushing the boulder. It's obviously very heavy reference to Greek mythology, so that now makes sense. So it did have kind of the right punch. So you're dead?
That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken.
Now we can also talk
But
to the
it
guy
was also
downstairs
possible for the living
beneath
to
the
reach it without
city.
dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know.
Can you tell me about Karen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks.
Okay, so why didn't you all recognize Karen immediately?
To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named
met
Kamut Tabal
Kabash.
wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect
Wonder
the
if
only
Kabash
way
is the
you'll
guy
solve this
underneath
riddle
the city.
is if your paths cross again.
Okay, so why are there so few people in the underworld?
Good question. Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river. But that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not.
Were you trying to keep those from me?
No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help, I promise you.
Okay.
Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if
Oh.
we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter, Orpheus, a Thracian poet, Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra, and Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or
I
some
see.
other guide.
I noticed you seem comfortable calling the god of the underworld by his name. Why is that?
All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril.
Okay, tell me more about confronting Pluto head on.
Shh! Is everyone so blunt where you're from? Oh. That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules.
Ouch. Oh, he couldn't manipulate time.
Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day.
Could be.
But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again.
Can you tell me about the obelisk?
It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque.
Where could I find the Roman plaque?
Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps,
I think that might be down
that, you might be able to
behind
recover
the tavern.
the Roman plaque.
Where would I find the Greek
I
one?
don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His story's in the forum.
I think is down below the city.
Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately,
Or maybe
he
that's
disappeared
the
weeks ago.
one that is
But
down
I
below.
did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room. I'm afraid you're on your own with that one, but perhaps finding the other 3 will illuminate the way.
Maybe, maybe more about escaping with the help of Proserpina or a guide.
As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage.
Okay.
It is. The gods are a mirror image of mankind, as far as cruelty is concerned, I'm afraid. If the stories are true, I imagine she's as desperate to escape as we are. If she really did help Orpheus and Sisyphus, perhaps she'll help us too.
He's probably the one talking through the
How
statues.
do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels?
I hear the female statues whispering to me every now and then.
Truly? And you're only bringing this up now?
You know?
Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say?
Always the same voice, and she's helpful, if a little cryptic.
Fascinating. Perhaps she is a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out?
Not yet.
I see. Well, let me know if you hear anything that might be a thread through this labyrinth.
Can't we just escape the way we came in?
It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried.
Okay.
All right. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As
Makes
for
sense.
Olivia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone.
Yes.
In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you. Although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side.
Okay, that is quite... Ooh. That is quite the revelation. Okay. Wow. Okay, so, I have an idea. Weight against the current. Weight against the current. Let me check something. Okay, so I have an idea where one of the plaques is. I think it's the one, there was one beneath the city, and I now assume that that person down there is Kabash, and he probably also figured out who's responsible for all of this. So oh, right. For a second I forgot where I had to go. Okay, let's go. No time to waste.
Come and join me by the fire. Welcome, welcome. It's a sincere... Tell me, what...
Looking for a plaque that was removed from the obelisk.
Ah, yes, that cursed thing. I know exactly where it is. I will tell you everything I know, but first,
Okay.
a request. I have been living down here alone for... The one thing I lost... Let us find...
Pluto.
Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly Socratic dialogue?
If I have to.
Good enough for me. Now, let me begin with a question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong?
Not sure. It's a complex question.
You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. It is probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the golden rule, surely your struggle can only have become more difficult.
It is.
Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the golden rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree?
Whose version of right or wrong?
That is an excellent question, and it leads directly to my next line of inquiry. So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing?
And there's more than one.
How can that be? Since they all have differences, it follows that in some cases they would offer different conclusions about what is right and wrong. If there is a correct moral code, then wouldn't it follow that only one can be the correct one?
The correct moral code depends on the laws and customs of whichever society you're in.
Ah, you know, I think you'd find an ally in Herodotus, a scribe from among my people who lived some 400 years ago. He told the story of a man named Darius, whose curiosity was piqued when he learned that a certain tribe had the practice of eating their dead. He asked some Greeks who burnt their dead, "What would it take for you to eat your dead?" Aghast, they replied, "Nothing." Then he asked the tribe who ate their dead, "What would it take for you to burn your dead?" "Nothing," they replied, equally aghast. From this, Herodotus concluded that custom is king, that right and wrong are merely local ideas which do not survive the journey from one tribe to another. I take it you're in agreement?
Yes.
Then let me ask you this. If you visited a tribe where they ate each other, copulated with the dead, and drank wine from cups made out of human skulls, would you still maintain that within such a tribe there is nothing wrong with such conduct?
Yes.
Disturbing. And while I do not agree with you, at least you would have the support of Herodotus.
What's your
My
point?
point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong.
Fair point.
If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all.
I agree.
I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your questions.
Good. My turn.
You mean, how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long story.
I'm listening.
I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night, I found myself in a tavern, in an argument with a drunk mercenary. It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life. I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny.
Hades, you mean Pluto?
They're one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto, but long before that, my people called him Hades.
Okay, why can't you return to the surface?
My generation was wiped out, turned to gold, many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's
But he's
safest
not
to
Kabash.
assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that his furies hadn't finished the job, and he'd send them after me again.
Why can't you tell me your name?
I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades would hear you and know I am still alive.
Where's everyone else?
I'm afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair. It has been lonely. Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years.
How have you survived down here?
Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation, so I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But, like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner.
Well,
As you wish.
so where can I find Kabash?
I will tell you, but you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the shrine of Persephone became the shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans.
I'm with you so far.
However, there was one thing that always seemed out of place to me, and it is the very thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription.
What did it say?
We had no idea until years later, when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail.
What's in there?
There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate.
Okay. You know way out of here?
Ha! If I did, would I be living like this?
Fair enough. What do you think about the gold roof?
Did we not discuss it at length already? Oh, I see.
Okay.
I enjoyed our chat.
So where was that plaque? Somewhere here.
Ah, you've returned.
Yeah, he left. Who was it again? It was this where I didn't dare to jump down. There's one.
Ah, you've returned.
Oh, so it has to be a special plaque that says the name. Okay, well, I guess let's do a quick save here. And then head into the catacombs. Okay, now I know how to shoot, just in case. This must be the one of the philosopher's 11 friends. Another one. Another one. Okay. Another one. Okay, not all of them seem to be preserved. A little bit creepy. Take some arrows. Seems to be locked from the other side. Please. What's that? Whoa. Oh no. Okay. I like that. Okay, that means we definitely need more arrows. I did not expect this. I'm also running out of arrows. That's not good. So there's an entire city down here. Missed. No. Oh boy. I can't fight these. I don't have enough arrows. Very worried about this. I only have 8 arrows left. It was a good one. Such of Acre, an ancient Egyptian deity, hunting against evil spirits. Not doing a good job, if you ask me. Is that you, Kabash? Oh, boy.
Stop! Do not come any closer. Who are you?
I'm Echo.
I am Kabash. And let me guess, another Greek or Roman come to loot and plunder the resting place of my ancestors,
I'm just looking for an Egyptian plaque.
To what end?
I want to return it to the obelisk.
That is welcome news. You really are not Greek or Roman, are you? I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain. Here, take it and restore the honor of Osiris.
Okay. Thanks.
Now, as for the other plaque.
The 4th plaque, you know about that?
Indeed, I have it right here. I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was.
May I have it?
You may not. In fact, I am about to destroy it.
Why?
Because it speaks a treacherous, blasphemous lie.
How so?
I will tell you, but first, do you know what this place is?
The duet?
Indeed, and I see you know our history. This is the Duat. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story, and here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers, but instead of adopting our ways, they copied and corrupted them. When they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing his name and replacing it with Hades. Even the ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti, they renamed to Keron, as if that desecration was not enough. They built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own underworld, so that ours was forgotten. My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew.
What's the problem with this plaque?
It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris's name. But if that is so, it would imply the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient people who prospered even before us, and that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this I cannot accept. I sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine Osiris once more.
What does... Ooh. If you give it to me, I'll destroy it for you.
You must think me a fool. This work of sacrilege must be destroyed, thrown into the black abyss below in Osiris's name.
Please stop.
You are too late.
Oh.
It is done.
I wish you hadn't done that.
It could not have gone any other way. It was Osiris's will. Now, the thing of evil you sought is gone. Why are you still here?
What's your story?
I am from Rakotis, which you may know as Alexandria, the name of the city the Greeks built over it. I was a fisherman, like my father before me. Since the Romans had taken over from the Greeks, I took the opportunity to learn Latin and eventually traveled to Rome. When the fires broke out last year, I tried to help. I gathered terrified locals into my boat and led many of them to safety farther along the Tiber. On my 7th trip, a passenger demanded I wait for his brother. But we were full to almost sinking, and smoke was all around us. I told him his brother would have to save himself, and he tried to bribe me by placing a coin into my hand. When I refused, he drew a dagger and thrust it between my ribs. I awoke on the banks of the river to a stranger wearing a ram headdress. He said his name was Kirti, and at the time, I simply thought him odd. It did not dawn on me until much later that he was the Kirti, the ram-headed ferryman described in the Book of the Dead.
Okay, do you know a way out of it?
This is where I belong, as caretaker of the memories of my people. If our ways are to be remembered, it falls to me.
What do you think about the golden rule?
I think if someone is to break the golden rule, it will not be me, for I try to live as I always have by the command of the goddess Ma'at. Do to the doer to make him do. As for the punishment that will come from it, I finally understand why it has long been said among my people that gold is the skin of the gods.
What do you think is down there?
I do not know. What could possibly lie beneath the underworld? Perhaps it is infinite darkness. Perhaps it is the lair of Amit, the devourer of souls. All I know is it would be unwise to venture down there.
Perhaps.
Most unwise.
How we going
Good.
now?
Be gone from this place. Wait. You are planning to go down there. I see it in your eyes.
Definitely.
You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness.
I'll find a way back up.
We shall see.
Honestly, I don't know if I will find a way back up, but I definitely save again. Anything else before we jump? I have like 2 arrows left. Oh. Sumerian plaque, okay. Nurgle, here's one, okay, we found that one. We need to find a way out of here. You hear this kind of grinding. Sounds like a smith of sorts. He definitely turned around. I like it. Compared to the zombies. Not that much. Barricades, so they try to protect themselves. You definitely pointed it in there. I just wanted to look because there was also oh no, I'm stuck. Ancient stone tablet. Stranger, heed the final words of Namkuzu. Bear witness to our aftermath and lament us. We did our best to live as the gods commanded. Planted and harvested together, we shared bread and beer. We accepted newcomers with open arms as a family. But with each newcomer, the bonds of our family strained, and soon we were strangers to each other. And when those bonds were finally broken, my brothers and sisters planted only for themselves and ate and drank alone. And it was there, in the empty space between us, that sin took root. Nurgle's sentinels have awoken, and clamor at our barricades learned from our miss. Wrote a brass plate with Sumerian markings on it. It appears to be a pressure plate. Kind of trap. It's not trap the trap. Barricades. It's around there.
When I told you that you would not find a way back up, that was not a prediction. That was a promise.
Oh, come on.
You will die here.
There's no need for this to end in violence.
I disagree. I warned you against coming down here, against perpetuating this sacrilege, but you persisted. You have undermined and dishonored the true god of the underworld. How did you think this would end, if not with bloodshed?
Just hear me out.
Very well, I will listen. But
Uh-oh.
if I sense deception, or if you further insult my gods, I will carry out my threat. So tell me, why should I let you live after you salvaged this instrument of blasphemy?
Something can be destroyed by the truth. It deserves to be destroyed by the truth. There's no shame in building on the works of people who came before you. Just trying to replace all the... If something can be destroyed by the truth, it deserves to be destroyed by the truth.
Then you admit it. You wish to destroy the sacred beliefs of my people. I will not allow this. Many of my ancestors endured great hardship to live good lives so that we may descend to the Duat in death and be judged accordingly. We prepare to have our hearts weighed on Anubis' scales and to swear ourselves innocent of sin before the 42 assessors of Ma'at. And yet, I arrive here to find the Book of the Dead contained only a seed of truth. And now I ask myself, did our priests steal and embellish the stories of an older people and feed us lies all our lives simply to trick us into obedience?
Isn't being a good person a worthwhile pursuit in of itself?
I am not sure I follow. Speak plainly.
Even if your beliefs about the afterlife weren't quite accurate, isn't the important thing they motivated you to live good lives?
Perhaps there is some truth in that. What is your point?
Are you going to abandon a lifetime of good character now that it matters most just because you found out you were misled?
You are persuasive.
Thank you.
Very well. I will let you live, and you may do what you will with that plaque. I will remain here for a while and attempt to learn what I can about the foundations of my people's beliefs. Go.
I hope I won't have to go back down here again. How about not stepping on? Oh, this is very intense. Guys, like... Not happy. Not happy. Not sure where this leads, but it leads out here. Means a happy outcome. Of in-game and in-stream. Or recording. Oh. Wait. Oh, I see. Let me out of here. Out of here, out of here. Hey.
Ah, good to see you again, friend. Did you find what you need?
Kind of.
I enjoyed our chat.
I will. I need to get out of here. Aye. Get back up. Hope I don't have to go back down there ever again. Hated it. Ooh. Zombies. Angry bowmen. Lots of danger. Okay, I think this is a good time to take a break though. And then next time we will see if we can find the other plaques. Still plenty of work to do. We learned a lot though, so there's that. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. Would love to hear it. Thank you all for watching today's episode, and if you enjoyed it, please give the video a like, maybe consider subscribing to the channel, share the video with friends, family, and the people on the internet. It all helps me out a whole bunch and will bring you more content in the future. I will be back with more of the Forgotten City very soon. Until then, have a great time.